horrendous news here. Just saw that Hulk Hogan passed away. Hulk Hogan is no longer with us. Hulk Hogan was just almost like you had to be around in real time when he was coming up to understand the energy and the aura and the magnitude of Hulk Hogan. 71 years of age. All the outlets have it. I thought I saw Jimmy Hart post something the other day, the Mouth of the South, about where they were doing karaoke or something. I didn't necessarily know that he was sick. He's done some podcasts, and I didn't think he was hanging on to his life. So the other day we lost Ozzy Osbourne. Today we lose the great Hulk Hogan. When you got to remember when he beat the Iron Sheik in what was that, 83 or 84? After Backlund lost to the Iron Sheik. You know, Backlund was a champion for 5 or 6 years, kind of boring. And then, but Vince's dad loved him. And then Vince was like, we got to mix this up, start getting with the current theme of entertainment. And then Hulk burst on the scene. And, of course, he was in Rocky, and he just had this massive profile. He looked the part, the blonde hair, the music, ripping off the shirt. Not a good wrestler. Like in the ring, he was actually very, very limited. But when he and the Sheik got after it, and then when he pinned the Iron Sheik, it's funny. I mean, for a fake sport, I love wrestling, but for a fake sport, the emotional investment that I had in Hulk Hogan and wrestling, Macho Man, Piper, etc., but like beating the Sheik, us against them, American pride, coming out waving the flag and dropping the big heavy leg on the Sheik and pinning him. And that just catapulted wrestling to a completely different stratosphere, whether it was basically buying out all the other territories and making them go away, and Saturday night's main event, and, the rock and wrestling connection with Cyndi Lauper, who back in the day was as big as Madonna. I mean, Michael Jackson, Prince, for a couple of years. Cyndi Lauper was right there, and he helped launch that WrestleMania, certainly WrestleMania 1 with Mr. T. So you got the TV crossover. And there's only so many people that can change a sport or change an industry. And I don't think there's anybody that can come along ever again and change wrestling the way Hulk Hogan changed wrestling. Just like there's probably no player that can come along in the NBA again and change basketball the way Michael Jordan changed basketball. I'm not saying that down the road somebody can't be better. It's not LeBron. Don't waste my time on that. It's not LeBron. Some down the road, somebody could maybe be better, but to change the game, the sneaker revolution, now we're so desensitized to every dunk because we've seen guys jump over cars with Superman capes in dunk contests. I don't know how anybody ever comes along and changes the pass rush and defense the way Lawrence Taylor did. I mean, I'm not even sure you can find somebody better than Lawrence Taylor ever. I mean, how does somebody come along and revolutionize golf the way Tiger Woods revolutionized golf? How? I mean, just the physique and, making golf merch cool. These guys used to wear khakis when they had bellies. When the 35-year-old men, khakis and bellies. And those boring, white golf shoes with the brown saddle shoe, whatever. Now everybody looks pimped out and jacked on the course. It looks awesome, I don't know how anybody ever comes along and does what Hulk Hogan did for this industry. It's impossible. It went from... Now... Think about what it went from. I've talked about this a little bit because I wish Sal was here today, really, for the wrestling stuff too. Maybe Sal will call in. I don't know what he's doing today, but if you're driving around, I'm sure maybe Mitch is doing some errands for you, maybe cleaning out the pool. If you're not too busy, I would love for Sal to call in on Hulk at some point today, because we both love this stuff. And there was a point, certainly late 70s, early 80s, and I got this from my grandma. I wish we still had them. We don't. You just don't know that it's going to matter the way it would have. But my grandmother would go from Greenpoint with her twin sister, God rest both of their souls, Italian side, my mom's side, and they would go to different, parishes in Brooklyn and watch wrestling at, the CYO gyms that I played at. That's how small wrestling was. Imagine like The Undertaker 10 years ago, or now, but I mean, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Bret Michaels, anybody that you want, walking into a little teeny tiny gym like St. Pat's in Bay Ridge or OLA or St. Mark's in Sheepshead Bay and actually having a wrestling event. There's no way. Andre the Giant used to show up. My grandmother has pictures of, and again, we had them, of Andre and like Rocky Johnson, Tony Atlas, Jimmy Snuka. I think it's like kind of right before Piper. Bruno would show up, Big John Studd, the Wild Samoans, Fuji. And that was right, even though many of those people wrestled when Hulk came, but that was like right before Hulk popped. And I remember the only way that I could get my wrestling highlights was Warner Wolf on Channel 2. Remember that, Dolph? He would actually give you some wrestling stuff. Because my dad wasn't paying for closed circuit TV, if you could even find it. And we could not get MSG based on the year and, where we were in Brooklyn. We didn't have access to it. So I would get my magazines and I would get Saturday morning. Sometimes you would get Saturday midnight. Usually it was on like 5 o'clock, but if there was like maybe a game like Knicks or Mets, sometimes it would be on at midnight. And my grandmother would wake me up to watch this, the interviews, Morocco. And then Hulk came and then boom, global entity. Not a perfect person. Definitely said some things that I don't agree with, obviously, and I would never condone. And he's had to make amends to a lot of people. I'm talking about the wrestling figure, Babe Ruth, Tiger and Jack, Muhammad Ali, Wayne Gretzky, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Lawrence Taylor, right there. Rest in peace. If I had a better body, maybe I'd rip the shirt off for you just to punctuate it. I could give you the old ear thing, give you the little flex. Oh, man. God, I loved watching him.